Hello everyone, I'm Giuseppe Nelva from Simulation Daily, and today we're again in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 on PS5, and we're going to give the PS5 a challenge, in the form of a full flight on an Airbus A321neo, which is a complex airliner. This is quite challenging for the console, because the systems that run this kind of airplane are a lot more complex than what you'd find in a smaller aircraft. And they push the CPU and the RAM quite intensively. So we'll see if the PS5 can handle it. Will we be able to finish the flight without incident and without crashes or glitches? On top of that, we're also departing and arriving at quite busy airports. So the air traffic will also add to the challenge for the hardware. We're running on base PS5, by the way, not the Pro, so keep that in mind. And we are in the flight deck of our aircraft. This video is completely unscripted. We haven't tried this flight before, so if anything goes awry or not as predicted, well, that's what happens when videos are unscripted. I hope you enjoyed anyway. So we already prepared our flight plan on SimBrief, which is a site that lets you create complex flight plans and realistic flight plans. You will do well to get acquainted with it if you play Airliners in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Perhaps we'll write an article on how to use it soon, but for now, we'll just show the flight. So we are doing a KLM flight, actually a reproduction of a real KLM flight, 1218, from Stockholm Arlanda in Sweden to Amsterdam Schiphol in the Netherlands. Actually, it's not 100% the same flight because it would be later in the day. We're flying with live time, so it's early morning at 9 a.m. while the flight would be at around 11 something, but it's still pretty much the same flight. There is a KLM flight that departs from Stockholm around these hours, but it's an Embraer, so it's a different aircraft. Still, it's a good reference. I like to reproduce flights as close as possible to the real world. We have our operational flight plan. We have our ground, so we can call our jetway. That will hopefully bring us our passengers in. Turn on the cabin lights because obviously they need light for passengers. And lock the door so no one can come into the flight deck. Okay. Since we are trying to see if the whole flight simulator experience, the whole airliner experience works on PS5, we'll do the full startup from cold and dark. This will take a little bit of time while I press a lot of buttons. So you can bear with me, or you can look at the chapters of the video and you can just skip to whatever you want, like the takeoff or whatever. Because right now I'm going to start up the aircraft from cold and dark, and it will take a little bit of button pressing. So let's start up this aircraft. Okay, so we start with the two batteries, on and on, and we connect to the external power, which is available. And you will see that now my screens are turning on, and they are taking a little bit of time to self-test, to make sure that everything is okay while the systems initialize themselves. Please keep in mind that it's 9 a.m. as it is in the simulator, and I'm on 2 hours of sleep. So if I make mistakes, that's why. There is a reason why pilots in real life have a minimum sleep time before they can fly. There's a little bit of a glitch that every time I click on this particular button on the EFB, which would be the flight tablet, this blind come down. But it's that glitch actually exists on PC as well. It's not the PS4 thing. We're 3 clicks in the sounds and the screen's initialized, which tells us that the systems are ready. So we turn on the ADRs, which are basically the brain or the flight computer that determines our navigation, and then they take about a few minutes to turn on. You will see here they say that ER in alignment. The navigation system is aligning, and it takes 9 minutes to align. You can actually speed it up in the options if you want, but we are not. Then we turn on the APU. This also will spool up realistically, and it takes a couple of minutes to spool up. Basically, the APU is the little jet engine at the tail of the plane that gives us electricity, pretty much. And right now, by the way, we are on base PS5. I don't remember if I already said it. We are not on a Pro. If I already said it, sorry. Again, this is unscripted, so you will hear me repeat myself a few times, quite possibly. So, cockpit lights are fine. We're still waiting for the APU to turn on, but in the meanwhile, we can start to initialize our flight. So we will go to the MCDU, which is the main computer, basically. Oh, I'm this. The main computer. And by the way, I'm using a mouse and keyboard. If you're wondering, you could do this with a normal controller, but it's much easier with the mouse and keyboard, basically. So we go into the ATSU menu. FNCC menu, my bad. Check the navigational accuracy and all that. And everything is fine. Here you should check that your nav database is updated. Ours is, because it gets updated automatically within the simulator every month. This is valid between 27 November 25 December 2025, and it is indeed updated. And we have the one from the month before, secondary nav database, and this is correct. So now our APU is available, which means that it's running, and you will see that it's running here because you will hear it, the noise of the little jet engine on the back of our plane. I won't say what it looks like because I get demonetized. Then now we start the APU bleed, which connects it to the systems of the aircraft, and we can turn off the external power. Since we turn the external power off, we can get the GPU out of the way. This is what provides the external power. We don't need it anymore. Now, we'll go back into our tablet here and go to the payload. We load from SimBrief our load for the day. We have 195 passengers, almost 5 tons of cargo, and 6 tons of fuel. And we'll apply the load to the aircraft. And we'll do it fast because otherwise it will take a long time to do it. We're not gonna wait 40 minutes to do it for all our passengers to get on the plane, because you will abandon this video much earlier than that. So now that we did this, we go up on our thing, and on our overhead panel, and we turn on the navigation light and the logo light. Well, actually the logo light is not really on. during the day, but it's fine. And then we turn on all the fuel pumps, followed by the crew supply, the crew oxygen supply. And this will have our overhead panel with no white lights, which on an Airbus means that it's pretty much initialized correctly. If there is any white light, it means that you have forgotten something. Now, our fuel is loaded, which means that we can turn on the seat belts. You would leave the seat belts off until your fuel is fully loaded, so your passengers could evacuate if there is a fire or something. And no smoking signals in auto. Nowadays, you can't smoke on a plane at all, so they always go in auto. And the emergency exit lights go in armed. In case there is an emergency, they will turn on. Now we're checking up the setup for our MCDU, which is the flight computer, as I say. You go into the init page and you request your initialization from SimBrief. You could insert all this data manually if you wanted, but usually it's not done because your airline does it for you. So we have SimBrief do it for us in the simulator. For some airliners you may have to do it manually, but luckily for this airliner it does it for you, which is a lot easier. So we have the cost index, which is 15 because KLM is a legacy carrier. Basically it's what determines how fast you're going in relation to economy. Legacy carrier tend to spend a little bit more money and to reflect that in your ticket, while low-cost carriers tend to have a higher cost index, which means more economy. We also check the winds that have already correctly been uploaded in our computer, so we are fine. We could request them again, but we don't need it right now. Now we go to the flight plan, and you see that our screen here updated, which means that the aiders have done their duty and they have aligned our navigation. Now that all of our passengers are on the flight, we can close the gate, so we can remove the jetway. We'll close our door and it will remove the jetway from the aircraft. There it goes. And again, that thing came down. I'm just gonna leave it there for now. I'm gonna take it off later because I can't be bothered, really. Now, next thing we have to do, we have to check our flight plans, as I said, and set up our departure and arrival. So we're departing from ESSA, which is the ICAO code of Stockholm Arlanda. Indeed we are. And if I look at my flight plan, which is on my other screen, we are departing from runway 19R. So we select departure, 19R, and we are going for the PT1G SID, which is our departure route. There is no transition to insert, so we just insert it. And as you can see, it has linked it with our flight plan. So we arrive, destination is EAHM, which basically is Schiphol, Amsterdam Schiphol, and we are arriving at 18R. So we are selecting ILS 18R. And the Bluff 1A star. Star is the arrival routing. Transition none. Insert. Okay. Let's see if there is any discontinuity to work with. There appear not to be. Oh, there is one. Oh, that's after the go around. That's fine. So we will go into the visual flight plan and check it out. Basically, this is the whole route. You can see it on this screen here. This is the whole route that we will do from Stockholm to Arlanda. To Amsterdam. And it is perfectly done. Sometimes there would be some discontinuity that you need to work with, but this time around there is none. So we can set it back in arc. There you go. Now we make sure that the constraints are visible on our MFD, on our side and our first officer side. The one problem that you have to do in airliners, in flight simulators, is that normally they are a two-person job, while you have to do basically everything by yourself. One day they promise that they will implement shared cockpit, so you will actually be able to play together with a co-pilot, and they will do their job, you will do your job, and it will be a lot easier because airliners are designed to be a two people job. So for instance, when you take off, your first officer will operate the flaps here, which are on his side, and it will make basically you will not need to take your eyes off the things that you need to keep under control. It will be quite a great thing when that is implemented. It seems that we're still quite a bit of time off. So let's go on. Squawk is set. We are not following air traffic control here because it's wonky anyway in the simulator, and it would just make it as much time. We're just gonna fly on our own, following what would happen in an airliner, but without bothering with air traffic control. I even silenced it. Now CDU, next page. Okay, 0 full weight and 0. Okay. Now init. Again, second page. We have to insert a 0 fuel weight and 0 fuel center of gravity, which we can find in our payload here. 0 fuel weight is 68 tons. 0 fuel center of gravity is 32.1%. 60 tons. So 60.0 slash 32.1%. Insert it here. Some other airliners do it, let you do it from zero fuel center of gravity. Disagree. Did I do something wrong? 2.1, 60 tons. That is, because I haven't inserted the fuel yet. Obviously. Okay. Block fuel is 6 tons. 06.0. That should clear it. Is it correct? Oh, I'm an idiot. It's not 60 tons, it's 68 tons. Oops. Yeah, sometimes it happens. 68.0 tons slash 32.1. This is also why this is normally a 2-people job. Bim. And see, that cleared that warning, because now it's correct. This is also a 2-people job because your co-pilot will immediately catch you when you do a mistake like this, if you don't catch yourself. And if it doesn't, well, the aircraft will catch it for you, as it happened. A little bit of insight on the life of a pilot that may be a little bit distracted. Okay. Now we go into the EFV again. The mass and data is done, and we have to do the departure performance. Takeoff. We sync it with our flight plan. This is our full weight. What we inserted before was the empty weight, zero fuel, the weight with no fuel. We're gonna depart with configure 1 plus slats flights, air conditioning on, NTIs on, force toga no, and the surface of the runway is actually wet because it was kind of raining a little bit before we started the flight. So I'm going to consider it still wet. Calculate. And it's calculating. It shows where in the runway we were supposed to take off. And here it gives us the data that we need to use during our takeoff. So we go into the perf page of our MCDU. So V1, V2, VR and V2 are 138, 151, and 155. 138, 151, 155. Okay. Then center of gravity is 31.7 and the trim, okay, so flaps 1, trim is 0.2 down. Actually not take this because sometimes let's see. No, I take it. I didn't remember if it was yeah, here it put DN02 instead of 02 down, but it works anyway. Flex to temp, which is the flexed temperature to like save fuel. We're not going to take off at full thrust, and this basically calculates it on its own how much thrust it's gonna take. 53 degrees. And it's all this is all it needs. Let's see just if this has a transitional altitude that I need to change. It's not going to look. Yes. Does it have any different transitional? Not that it's super important, mind you. That would be something that ATC gives you. Oh, let's keep it at 5,000. It doesn't matter. We're doing some things like that. Not exactly what we're supposed to do them because for the sake of expediency, but it doesn't really make it all the difference, especially considering that we're mostly testing how the PS5 handles this, and this does not really matter in that regard. So we set a local altimeter, which we will see here in the dashboard. We could call the 80s in on the radio. We have it here, which is so convenient. 1013. It is 1013. So we're fine. Basically, this is the pressure of the atmosphere that will determine what it reads on your altimeter. Is very important to have. Flight director button on my side and on the side of the pilot. Speed check dashed and adding check dashed. This is correct. And altitude, we can basically clear ourselves to our initial altitude. Will be down 10,000 feet. Our cruise altitude today is 360 flight level, so 36,000 feet, which is about 12,000 meters, something like that. Okay. Transponder goes into auto. Bow, it's fine. It is everywhere it should be. Normally, here we'll put the squawk that ATC gives us. We just keep it there. Beacon on because it is time to finally start our engines. And the beacon tells our ground crew that we are about to start our engine, so they need to clear. Thrust levers are on idle. Okay. APU bleed is on. That's just a check. We go back to ground services. Everything is detached, so we are fine. And we are going to look for a moment at the map of the airport. By the way, let me bring up the EFB with the flight planner. GTT, I was doing something else before. ESSA Arlanda. Oh. Okay. Let's look at the airport map. This is something that you normally would require. We are by the way, we are parked it here at Terminal 2, and our runway, as I mentioned before, is 19R, so we will need to taxi all the way here. Again, normally ATC will tell us where to taxi. We'll just do it our own way because we're rebels. So we need, since we are here, we need to push back behind and to our left. Let's close this for a moment. And we are ready for the push and start. So we call the tag. We will deactivate the parking brake. And wait for the tag to start pushing us back. Okay? Now it's time to start the engines. So we put our engine mode into start and we start engine 1. You see that the engine is starting. And we can monitor the parameters here. We have to wait until the engine is fully started. Tag, let us go. Put the parking brake again. This pushback is not super, like, precise as it should be, but it's fine. Okay, engine 1 is available, so it means that it started correctly. So we can start engine 2. Normally a good pushback would also put us in the direction we have to go, but it's fine. And no, you don't use your reverser to push back on your own. Some turboprop can do it, but not this kind of record. Reversers are mostly to slow you down when the runway is wet. Nice look at the engine. You can hear it roar. Okay, and you can see the monitoring of the engine here. That is about, when it gets to 19, it will become available, which means that the engine has correctly turned on. There you go. Available. Both engines are correctly started, so we can put back the selector into norm. We're almost to takeoff, guys. Well, almost to well, we're taxiing now, so we're not too far. Now, bring up the PDF again with the map of the airport, so we will see where we go. Alrighty, we are here on the apron D, and we have cleared ourselves to go. So now that the engine has started, we don't need the APU anymore. That's just using fuel. So we turn off the bleed and we turn off the APU itself. Auto brake are going into maximum. Front spoiler armed. I'll trim rosette. Flaps set for takeoff. Trim wheel, we will set it to what we said earlier. Flight controls needs to go down 0.2. There you go. Oh, we are at 0.3. I pushed it a little bit too much. There you go. Now we start taxiing. So runway turn on lights on, taxi light on. You go. Parking brake off. And we start moving. You can see there are the indications of the taxiways. We have to take taxiway U. It's this long one that will bring us to our runway. This is a fairly long taxi, but it's actually a fairly easy one. There isn't too many intersection and crap that we'll have to do. Unfortunately, the twist axis of my stick is dead and crazy, which is normally used if you have only a stick for the taxi, and for the rudder pedals. So I have to use some controls that are there. There is another guy. We're going to do something weird. Don't worry about that. Normally ATC would make us go on the other side. That would make us route us so that this kind of things don't happen. But it's fine. We're just going to go nose to nose with another airplane. It doesn't matter. It is a very, very, very serious thing in real life, but they're not in real life. And these AI controlled aircraft are incorporeal, so nothing happens if you hit them. Hello. Do you mind if I pass for first? Oh, we're gonna go at the same time? Okay, see. No problem. Normally, one of us would have waited at the entrance there, or I would have waited at the previous interception, and I would have, and if he waits there, I would have gone the other way here. Basically, ATC would have routed us in a way that we did not collide, of course. So we're going to go into the taxiway. That will bring us exactly where we need to go. In the meanwhile, you use the time on this long taxi to test your flight controls. You see them on the screen on the bottom under the map. You have your indications that tell you, okay, they are traveling fully, so everything is fine. We are now on taxiway M. Yeah, also we are going to totally overrun the little guy here, because these cars are annoying in this simulator. They do not wait for you. You always have to wait for them. Normally in real life, they would absolutely 1000% wait for the airplanes. Airplanes do not stop for the cars. The cars stop for the airplanes. Like, obviously, you're very much bigger than them, and you are the one that has to follow a schedule. You have to depart at a certain time. It's not them that they have to depart at a certain time, so yeah, they are doing the waiting normally. Okay, that line right there is the hold off line at the before the runway, so we are holding off here. Since we have to do a couple of things, we will put on our parking brake, and normally you wouldn't even need it because you'd have brakes in your pedals, but there is no rudder pedals and brake pedals for the PS5, so we just need to do a little bit of finicking. Okay, so we are our takeoff, and X22, okay. Anti-ice required, advice for departure cabin. Okay, we're advising a cabin for departure. Okay. Responded goes into TA. Okay. Strobe lights on. Terrain on ND. Put it on only on our panel. I don't remember if there is any terrain around Orlando, but I don't think there is. Weather radar goes into system 1. Interesting, these Airbus A321neo as the new radio equipment that activates the predictable wind shear on its own. Otherwise you would have to activate the switch with the old radio type. Takeoff confirm button, you have to press this one, which will alert you if there is anything missing. So you see here, takeoff confirm normal, which means we are ready. So landing lights goes into the takeoff position and turn on, and nose lights gets turned into takeoff. We are ready. We can turn off the map to have our full visual. We can turn off the parking brake. Now we're going. We're going to line up with the runway. Okay, now I should put my throttle, my thrust lever in the flex position. The problem is that in a real airliner, it has a physical detent, and even in more advanced controllers, it has a physical detent that basically you put it in there, you can feel it. Here it doesn't, because this is an old controller. It's the only controller that is available for the PS5, and it's not designed for airliners. It has only one detent, and I used it for the climb position, which is more important, which is the position in which the throttle stays for like 99.9% of the flight. So yeah, if I don't nail the flex position, then I will just put it in toga, which is the full thrust. It doesn't matter. Well, it would matter in real life, but it doesn't matter here. So let's slowly lower, raise the power. Okay. Remove the brakes. See if I can nail the toga. See, it wants to go into flex, but I don't know where flex is. Ah, there it is. I got the flex. V1. Rotate. Landing gear up. Did I just taxi to the wrong runway? I actually did. Oh, that explains a lot of things. It doesn't matter. It does show that I slept only a couple of hours. Yeah, you want me to put the lever and climb? It doesn't matter. We did the hoopsies, but we basically took off from the wrong runway. We can turn on the autopilot now. And pull up the flaps. We'll pretend we didn't do this. And it will climb us. See, yeah. So Takeoff is in standby. Why isn't it standby? Oh, altitude reporting. Okay. On. See, I'm actually not used to these new radios, and now it's fine. Okay, seat belts and landing lights are okay. And we're going up. Since we're going up, we don't need this anymore. And since we're passing the transitional altitude, we can put this into standard. Runway turn off lights going off. We're coming up from the clouds. This looks pretty good, I have to say. Okay. I don't know why I taxied to the wrong runway. I probably read it wrong on the map. I don't usually use Arlanda as a base, but this time around I did, because It was the only match I had for the livery of the plane and the plane model I wanted to use, and the airport that actually had a good parameter. Okay, we are above. Our first cleared altitude, so we got to 35 now. And we pushed it in. It will climb us to 35,000. It's a bit warm inside the cabin, 20 degrees, so we're going to lower it a little to make it a little less balmy to our customers. We passed 10,000 feet, so we can turn off the landing lights and the nose lights. And the strobe goes in auto. Okay, we are fine. We did a little bit of an unplanned takeoff, but no one noticed. Did you notice? I didn't. Yeah, we'd lose our job in real life. Oopsies. Or we'll get into, like, real trouble at the very least. Okay. Well, please forgive me. Okay, so now terrain on ND is not useful anymore, and it wasn't useful ever because there was no real terrain around. And now, see, now the temperature in the cabin is back to 21 degrees, nice and cool. And now, since we passed 10,000, you can also turn off the seat belts. You would turn them off. You will turn them into auto, so that if there is turbulence, they will automatically turn on, and the passengers will be protected. Okay. So now that we're in cruise, we're climbing through the cruise. We can increase our MCDU range, and we can see our top of the descent is very far. That's our top of climb, sorry. That's where we arrive at the top of climb. Yeah, I was saying something really stupid. Top of descent isn't even 240 miles away. The top of climb is when we reach our cruise altitude, according to everything that we programmed our autopilot to do. The top of descent is when we need to start descending. Normally we would ask autopilot, ATC for permission to descend. There is actually, which is very interesting, I don't know if it'll ever work with PS5, there are online ATC networks like VATSIM, with which you interact with real people that play as air traffic controllers, which is really fun. You see that we already used 1 ton of fuel because the climb is basically when most of the fuel is expended. Well, not most of it, but a really big amount of fuel is expended during the climb. If you want to see, we can go into the program page. Performance page. Fuel prediction page, sorry. Fuel prediction page. And it will tell us exactly how much estimated fuel on board we'll have when we arrive at our destination, which will be 2 tons. It's actually under the minimum distillate fuel on board. I don't know why they did it like that on SimBrief. Should have put a little bit more reserve, but it's fine. 2 tons plenty. It may even be just because I wasted too much time before takeoff. It's whatever. As I say, we're doing a lot of things a little bit, well, not a lot of, but some things a little bit like not by the book for the sake of expediency. So we can put our flight plan here. See, it says, oh, it is a little low, but it's fine. We may even get a NICAM warning when it goes under. We'll put the performance space page here. Oh, it already is. Oops. Okay. A little bit of a nice camera. You can actually control your camera view. And there is an even better camera, which is the showcase camera, which I advise to put at 70 field zoom level because it gives you a better field of view that makes the aircraft look more natural. Say 71 is fine. And then when it is in this mode, you can manually control your camera with your DualSense controller, and you can get some really nice angles, as you can see. Look at the lighting on the clouds. This is beautiful. I mean, so far, the airliner experience is going super smoothly on the PS5, no problem at all, besides our mistakes. Look at that lighting. Look at how the light shines on the fuselage. It is beautiful. Okay. It seems that to me that the livery of the aircraft is slightly maybe less lower resolution compared to PC, but you need to squint to see the difference. There is differences, but you need to squint a little bit. So I was talking about the controller. Let's go back to cockpit view. I was talking about the controller, and I was telling you that there is only one controller available for the PS5 version at the moment, which is not ideal because it's not a controller designed for an airliner. It's the Trustmaster HOTAS 4, something like that, and it's a PS4 controller. It was designed for Ace Combat 7 when it was released, and in fact I have mine since Ace Combat 7. It's so old that the twist axis is dead, and I haven't touched this controller since I finished Ace Combat 7 on PS4, and then I bought it on PC, and you know, I've completely forgot I had this controller, and unfortunately it's not designed for an airliner, and it has only one detent. While you would see that here it has actually a idle at 0 here. It actually has a reverse, which you don't have the access for reverse in this on this throttle lever. Then it has the flex, which is the one you need on takeoff. And then it has the toga, which is the maximum power that you don't really use, because you use it only in a certain. I mean, you do use it in airports that have very, very low, short runways, so you can't take off with the flex speed, or other conditions that don't let you take off with the flex speed. So ultimately, with only one detent, I had to put it in climb because on an Airbus, the throttle stays in climb all the time, which the auto throttle is enabled. So basically, even if you're not climbing, by the way, It's just the way it's called. But yeah, other than that, it really doesn't do anything else. Like if you would need more than 10s and the for PC, oh, it's 36,000. Sorry, 35,000. My cruise altitude. Oops, there you go. Okay. You would need more than 10s, I was saying, and the Airbus controllers that are designed for PC, they do have all the detents you need. Like I use still by Trustmaster, the Airbus there is a licensed Airbus controller which has all the detents that you need. Also, this is important. If you had an engine failure, you would need to use the two throttles separately to compensate. This one, this Trustmaster OTAS 4 has only one throttle that controls both, so you can't simulate an engine failure. There is a lot of problems with this stick. I hope that the simulator. I mean it works. that this glitched, so we can actually just be protected from the sun, almost like we did it on purpose. So here we have our progress on our flight, and we're almost reaching. You see, it is pretty precise in calculating your top of climb, which is this little blue thingy here. So almost at 36,000. That likely changed when we changed this, but we're fine. I mean, everything is great in the moment. Everything is here. Normally in this phase of flight, a pilot would just monitor all the instruments, making sure that everything is fine, and everything is fine. So what we can do instead is just look around and enjoy the vistas. Unfortunately, airliners fly very high, so you're not getting the fun tour guide narration that we did on our flight over Japan on the Cessna 172, because we are too high and over clouds. We can see what's under us. The clouds are really beautiful, aren't they? I love them. This is a beautiful look. We go back into our flight deck. Well, people call it cockpit, and that's technically right. But in airliners, you tend to call it more a flight deck. Cockpit feels like constrained. And actually, an Airbus flight deck is quite spacious, as you can see. It's nice and spacious. There's a lot of room. And okay. By the way, so this is actually a funny little story. We are reaching our top of climb, by the way, as you can see. By the way, I should have put it to managed, but it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't open the scent, but meh. No problem. Open. There are various autopilot modes. On PC, I actually have a peripheral that does like this. Now it's in all cruise because I reached my cruise altitude, and it went back into managed mode. Basically, when you have this little dot, it means that the computer is managing it all on its own. On PC, you actually could have peripherals like this thing physical in front of you, so you don't need to use the mouse. You can just move the little things. And Airbuses have these knots here. You can push them in and out. If you push that, they're really cleverly designed. If you push them in, it means it tells the aircraft, your aircraft. Basically, you're pushing the knob in to tell them manage the ascent, manage the descent, manage the altitude. If you pull it towards you, you tell them my aircraft. So you give them manual commands. So basically here it was in my aircraft, basically on my control, and not in managed. So there was no little dot because I forgot, since I don't normally use the mouse to do this. I forgot to push it in, which you actually need to like hold to lock, and then need to click first left click to lock, and then right click to set it to managed, and it's a bit of a mess, as you can imagine. With the controller it's even worse, but you can still do it. It's just a little messy. Like I can show you. Pick up my DualSense. I go there, and I need to get it right there. So press X to interact, and I can adjust altitude with the right stick, which is actually really like messy because you need to use two fingers. You need to move your hand so that you can hold. Actually, you don't need to hold, right? So. And then you need to click X again to set on managed, or set, which would be pressing the knob in, or you push square to set on selected, which would be pulling the knob out. So you can do it. It's a little awkward, or you can like unlock it with the circle. It is a little messy. Let's admit it. Everything's fine here. See, here we have a little bit destination EFA below minimum because we have that, but it's not a problem. We actually that actually is not our fault, likely, because we followed all the rules for the fuel on board. We should have put, normally it's a good idea when you use SimBrief with a non-payware aircraft to put like a ton of fuel more in reserve, additional reserve, because these non-payware aircraft are really good, but sometimes the fuel consumption is not perfect, and the calculations are not like 100% perfect. They're like 99% perfect, and they can cause this. But we can just cancel that. It's fine. We're gonna have our dispatcher. Worry about that. And everything here is fine now. We are at the cruise altitude, and we have a long flight in front of us. Interesting, I was saying, The autopilot of an Airbus aircraft is actually is a very complex system, but for the pilot, it's the closest there is to the mythical idea of a one button goes in autopilot and it does everything for you. It doesn't really do everything for you, because in the end you're still telling it when to climb, where to descend, how far you need to climb, and all that. But it's closer than, for instance, a Garmin G1000 that you use in a Cessna 172 or even a Boeing autopilot. Because in the end, the Airbus has a level of automation that is really, really advanced compared to other aircraft. That being said, it's not completely true. Oh, I actually used the controller and it went out of autopilot. By the way, that's a good thing. If you use your left stick on the controller, which will move your controls, it will leave autopilot, because it will interpret your input as I want my controls. Because in an emergency situation, you may want to get control over the aircraft faster than even the press of the button to turn off the autopilot. So basically, you grab the stick, you pull or push on the stick, and it will automatically get you out of autopilot. I was saying, like, it has so much automation that if everything is fine, you don't need to click to press that many buttons during the flight. The thing is, of course, that the computer needs to be programmed, and you saw us program the MCDU at the beginning of the flight. So if you program the computer correctly, which is easy, and actually if you need to learn, you go on the tablet and you go into the aircraft and you will go into the checklists, and here it gives you a full checklist of everything you need to do, every single button press, every single thing. And you can actually click on this little eye here and it will zoom on the control on the button that you need to press, and will turn it blue, so it will be very well highlighted for you. So basically, I was saying, when you since the autopilot has so much automation, it's actually closer to the press one button, and it does what it's supposed to do. Because other autopilot that are not as advanced, they need a lot more input from the pilot. But again, you need to program it before the flight for it to work correctly. It's funny because this idea of the autopilot that does everything for you and that you need to do nothing was kind of popularized by films like Airplane or whatever. But sorry, someone is calling me on Discord. So, this idea of the autopilot, sorry for the interruption. Again, this is unscripted. This idea of the autopilot is funny because it also brought some people to write some pretty funny things. There is actually, this is back to the times of the original Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's a bit of an anecdote, a funny anecdote. A very popular PC site, which probably I should not name, PC Gamer. They wrote a guide because, you know, nowadays there is this trend to write guides for everything, right? Actually, but they wrote a guide that is how to activate the autopilot in Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is actually, it would be very useful if it was correct, because there are some procedures, like I hate guides nowadays. They are so silly. They're like trying to just catch Google search. So they are like how to save your game in Elden Ring or whatnot, you know? So really elementary stuff, which is literally insulting your intelligence, but, you know, people search for it for some reason. So, and so people, like, the big part of the video game business nowadays is writing guides. So people write guides about every single silly thing that can come to their mind. Like, really. It's uncanny. But anyway, the fact is that there was this guide how to activate. There still is this guide how to activate the autopilot in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and basically, it literally tells you. It literally explains to you not how to activate the autopilot, which is the autopilot system in your aircraft. It literally just tells you how to activate, how to give control to the AI copilot, which is a completely different thing, which is a thing that Microsoft Flight Simulator, original Microsoft Flight Simulator had, that basically told the AI, pilot the aircraft for me to the destination. That's not the autopilot. And it was so faulty that they didn't put it anymore in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Actually, there is talk about maybe bringing it back at some point, because for some people it can be good, but it's so finicky because the AI really need to be able to pilot every aircraft in the simulator. There is a million, so, and every aircraft is piloted differently. So of course you can imagine how complex that system may be, but for the player it was just, you know, activated, and the AI copilot would pilot the plane to its destination, or try to, and often fail. Definitely was not able to correctly pilot airliners or whatever. But anyway, that's what they wrote in the guide, so it was completely incorrect. People flooded the comments telling them, listen guys, you're full of it. This is wrong, that's not how you activate the autopilot, and whatever. And their reaction was literally just, and you think, correct it, right? Nope, they didn't correct it, it's still there, exactly like that. You can Google it right now. They just removed the whole comment section. Because that's how you do it nowadays. Sorry, this is the old man in me shouting at clouds and bemoaning the state of gaming journalism nowadays. Sometimes you will hear me do that. Forgive me. That's just how I am. But here we are flying nicely without any issue for the moment. So yeah, if you have a keyboard to go into this controller-controlled camera, it's Shift plus X. Shift plus Z places you in slew mode, which basically stops all the physics, and then with your controller you can put your aircraft whenever you want. I guess it's good if you want to recover from a fatal mistake. Shouldn't need to do that. But I mean, I understand that there is a lot of people probably watching this video that are new to flight simulation, so you will make mistakes, and that's fine. I mean, you've seen I've done flight simulation since the times of flight simulators on the ZX Spectrum. It came out in 1978 or 1980, something like that. I'm aging myself, but I got it a little bit after it was released. I was 6 years old when my father gifted me a ZX Spectrum computer with flight simulator. My father was a airline pilot, first fighter pilot, then airline pilot. So of course, first gift as soon as you're in school is a computer for his son. As soon as I enter school, was a personal computer, which was the British rival of the Commodore 64, the ZX Spectrum, with one of the first flight simulators, which was really terrible. It was like made with some wire graphics that was really almost impossible to understand what was in it. And it was the rival of the original Microsoft Flight Simulator, basically. It was by Psion Software. Oh God. So many memories. I used to play that flight. Maybe one of the reasons why I could not understand a lot of what was going on the screen when I was 6 was likely that I was playing on a black and white, hear that, black and white 8-inch TV. 8-inch. It was a portable TV that my parents gave me to put on my room. You can laugh. You're entitled to laugh at this, but you know, when I was a kid, that was common. We didn't have the big TVs, and of course it was a CRT TV because you know LCD did not exist back then, let alone all the newer stuff like plasma TVs or. So I had this ZX Spectrum that was really funny because it was basically all built into the keyboard. The whole computer was the keyboard, and the keys were really uncomfortable. They were made of rubber, and if you wanted the joystick, there was this capstone interface. It was called like that, and you actually had to little pins linked to wires, and you would pin the axis and the control and the button of the joystick to the key you wanted the joystick to control. It was hilarious. But yeah, and I used to play this on my trusty portable, and it actually had a strap that you could put over your shoulder, a shoulder strap, 8-inch black and white TV. Envy me. Okay. So we need to be under flight level 260 at Blufa. See? Just going to check our. Oh yeah, Blufa is there. So there is where. So we're about 320 miles from Lufa. If we go to a fuel prediction, you can see we are going to be at, according to the prediction, at 11.3, 11.4 UTC at our destination. In about an hour. Well, a little bit more than an hour. Right now is 9:44 UTC. Our destination is 361 from our distance is there. If I need to check out my ILS, I need to be at 2000 at Pivos, which means I will have starting to do my calculations. Pivos, I have distance is 354, so I need to drop, I need to lose 36,000. Will need 90, 36, 100, and you need to multiply your altitude by 3, and you pretty much have your track miles that you need to do to lose that altitude. So 36,000. It's 118 miles. So when I'm at 118 miles from my destination, I can start my descent. We'll do 120 just to be sure. We don't want to be high. so far, I have to say the airliner experience is not. It has no issue. Besides, again, some little mistakes that I did because I wasn't used to the airport or to this specific airliner. On PC, we have an A321, not the Neo, but we have the A321, the older A321 by Phoenix, which is absolutely fantastic and even more advanced than this. And I fly that if I want to fly an A321. I am waiting very eagerly when they will release the Neos, which will be next year, at the beginning of next year, hopefully. Well, it was supposed to be in this year, but they just delayed it. So I imagine they're close enough, so it's gonna be early 2026. And funnily, I was telling you how difficult, how complex the autopilot is. The autopilot is one of the most complex systems in a simulated airplane, even in a real airplane, actually. Just to be able to coordinate the lateral navigation, which is where you go in space, in lateral space, and the vertical navigation. So where you need to climb to descend, at what speed you need to climb and descend. It's extremely complex, and even the best developers still don't get it completely. You're right. For instance, Phoenix, which has the best A320 simulation in my A320, A321, A319, A320 family. In all of simulation at the moment, still their vertical navigation still often puts you a little high compared to where you should be. So sometimes you need to pull the air brakes, slow down, and go down faster to catch up. And they're exactly why they delayed the Neos, because they want first to fix the vertical navigation. Many developers that are less prestigious release their aircraft initially without vertical navigation. You need to do everything manually. So you know, in the end, it's such a complex system. So now we can see here our destination is already here. Such a complex system that you have no idea how many calculations go behind the scene, and that's why airliners put so much stress on the CPU, because it does all those calculations behind the scene to try and predict where your airplane is gonna be, but also in relation to the wind and all the atmospheric conditions. Remember that Microsoft Flight Simulator actually downloads the winds and the clouds and everything in the weather from the internet, and it reproduces the real flying conditions at any given time, which means that a simulated aircraft needs to be able to adjust its parameters for the autopilot to the wind, to all these conditions, in order to predict where you should be when you need to descend, what speed you need to descend at, what you need to climb, how much fuel you're going to consume. That's also why there was these little mistakes here, that we have a little less fuel than with us, because doing it perfectly is beyond the scope of these aircraft, which is really advanced. Don't get me wrong, Microsoft Flight Simulator is the first simulator in history that gives you simulated airliners by default, free at no additional cost within the package, that are 90% of the simulation of a real aircraft. But like the payware aircraft, the ones you pay for from the really, really good brands, like Phoenix, like PMDG, like Flight Factor, those they get to 99%. You know, but 90%, like these aircraft, the complexity of these aircraft is awesome. Before Microsoft Flight Simulator, we never had anything like this. If you buy the other simulators on the market, the default airplanes that you get in the package are not even close to this, not even in the same galaxy this. So in the end, the package you get, the planes you get packaged with the simulators are awesome already. Like, they are incredibly realistic for what you would get historically with the flight simulator. Because normally, before the first Microsoft Flight Simulator, actually before the first 2 years in Microsoft Flight Simulator, because the first airliner that was released advanced for simulator was the A310, and it was already 2 years after the release of the simulator. Before then, creators, the first parties making flight simulators, they just counted on that if you wanted a really realistic airliner, or even a really realistic plane of any kind, you would spend $40, $60, $50, $80, even more, on a third-party add-on. Microsoft decided to do it differently. And they're actually paying directly third-party developers to make the aircraft that go into the package. So we get aircraft that have a quality and a simulation level that is unprecedented in the history of flight simulation for a default aircraft. The paid add-ons are still superior, but the gap between the paid add-ons and the default add-ons has narrowed incredibly. And it's even more so with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, in which a lot of the planes are not made by Asobo, but they are made by paid third-party developers that have the expertise to make them really, really close to the real ones. So this is a very realistic simulation of an A321. It's not 100%, it's 90% or 85% or very close, but just imagine when the original Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 launched, we had the Airbus A321neo, which was the most advanced airliner in it, and that was maybe a 30%. And I'm being generous. It didn't even have a correct fly-by-wire. It was really not good. In fact, a freeware developer, fly-by-wire, because they took the name from that, actually made a mod, and they're still developing it now, 5 years later, of the A320neo, to bring it from that 90% from the 30% to the 99% of the payware simulator, but it's free. Unfortunately, that one's never going to be on PS5. So, but in the meanwhile, Microsoft contracted another developer to remake completely the A320neo, and they also made the A321neo, so that it would be at least 90%. And before Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, it didn't even come to 10%. An airliner it looked like an airliner, but it didn't fly at all like an airliner. And I mean, if you just use the ones that they gave you with the simulator. If you paid for it, there have been really advanced airliners since the times of Flight Simulator 2004 or something like that. So it's been there has been third-party developed very advanced planes for a long time. Of course, as time went on, technology improved. The ability of computers to calculate things improved as well. So the level of the simulation improved as well. But if you want to get to 99%, you need to there are some freeware developers out there like fly-by-wire, but those won't be on PS5. or you need to spend like $60, $70, $80 for a really good add-on by a third-party developer. Like for instance, for PS5, I imagine, because they're released on Xbox, I imagine for Boeing's PMDG is going to release their 737, 747. That's still not arrived for PC as well, and 777s for PS5 as well. When the PS5 has its own marketplace working and accepting third-party developers. I can lower this to 160. So yeah, it's this simulation is really good, and it's impressive how good it is compared to the. Oh, by the way, we should put. We forgot to put our TCAS to normal so that it looks both above and below. Before, when you climb, you just need to see the TCAS detects other aircraft and avoid collisions, basically. And if you're climbing, of course, it needs to look just above you. If you're descending, it just needs to look below you, because if an aircraft is on the same level as you, when you get closer to it, you're gonna be lower. So when we start descending, we will change the TCAS to low. In the meanwhile, we're still flying along nicely in our beautiful KLM A321neo. 36,000 feet towards Amsterdam Schiphol. By the way, you may notice that when I'm changing viewpoint, it lowers, like it blurs a little bit the cockpit. That's because the airplane itself is streamed from the cloud, like everything else. It's almost nothing of this is installed on the PS5, and it's actually working really well in terms of bandwidth. I don't have any problems for the moment. Like the Xbox release was pretty messy. This is we'll have to see if it holds well all the way to the actual full release of the aircraft. And by the way, the PS5 version of the simulator is not being released just yet. It's in early access for those that pre-ordered the special editions, but those that those that have the normal editions don't have them yet. Don't have the simulator yet. Microsoft Xbox gave us a copy, a pre-release copy, for the purpose of our coverage. Full disclosure. I should have say this at the beginning of the video, but I will write it in the description because it's good to disclose this kind of stuff. So we have 223 track miles to our destination. Everything is fine. So we'll need to descend at 11:27 according to the calculations of the computer. We'll see how correct it is. And 196 track miles to our destination. Track miles just means that our miles not in, straight line, but following the track of the autopilot. I love these little blinds here, despite the fact that it's a little glitched because it may come down when it's not required, but it really adds to the immersion. Take another look outside. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's a very cloudy day today, so you're not going to see much in terms of rain. We will see it when we get closer to our destination. Of course, we will descend under the clouds. You can see something there, a little bit of a... Oh no, that's a coastline. Maybe an island? Looks like an island. Yeah, we can see the sea down under the clouds now. Somewhere the Baltic Sea right now, or the Baltic Sea. Just look at the reflections on the wind and all that. I mean, this isn't beautiful if you can. The Flying Dutchman, of course. That checks out. Okay, we need to check destination data. So now it is time to make sure everything is fine. And ready for our approach phase. So destination, we need to insert the QNH. Let's update the METAR at Schiphol. QNH is 10.05. Temperature. Is 07, dew point 05. 07. Cold, which means that we'll need anti-ice when we pass the clouds, probably. Maybe not, depends. The wind is 140 degrees at 10 knots. There's a bit of wind. Transitional altitude, normally at EAHM it actually would be given to you by ATC, but we know it's around usually it's 3,000. Our final approach. Bring up the mappy here, mappy. The flight planner. And we go in EAHM Schiphol. We want the charts and our runway was 18R. We're not gonna land the wrong runway this time around. Sorry, approach 18R. There you go. So we have our minimums here. Our category C aircraft. That one DME 190. Finally, the Jepson card chart that give you on sim brief. Sorry, on Navigraph, which is a subscription service that also gives you charts like this. There are different provider charts. These are the Lido charts, the one Lufthansa uses, and you can get the Jepson charts on. From Navigraph. Those would they give you 187, but you know, it's of course a minimal difference. And we are on full flaps. And we are all ready. Everything is set. And ready for our approach. What time is it? 10:16. You see 11 to 16. Now it wants us to descend at 11:37. Now 135 track mile. Will probably do it earlier. At 130 distance, 120 distance, I will start my descent. Normally that would be a top of descent indicator on the autopilot right here. I will tell you exactly when to do it, but since we didn't do the managed ascent, it's not putting it there. Sometimes it happens. It's fine. We can do it manually. So far though, I have to say, airliner experience on PS5, perfectly workable. 1000%. So, I'm bringing up my checklist. By the way, I have a different screen or different computer on my side, in which I have the checklist, the same checklist that you have on the PFD, but sorry, on the EFB, but I use this because it's easier to follow for me. And by the way, if you think having the cheat sheet is bad, Pilots do it as well, like real pilots. You are actually not supposed to do this by memory, because people forget things. And when people forget things, accidents happen. So absolutely, a real pilot would follow the cheat sheet. They would follow the checklist 1000%. That's what it's how it is done. $120, okay. So let's descend. 2000. Well, let's go all the way to our lock. Set managed. And we're going to descend. Yeah, see, maybe we're even a little late because the green dot is already there. We're gonna be fine. So we're going to put our ECAS to below. See, according to this, we would be at 2000 here. It predicts that we'll be 2000 here, which is at RTIP is even much closer than we should be. That's fine. Very managed. Everything is fine. A little fast, to be honest. May have to pull the air brake a little bit. No problem. You can do that. As you can see, the air brakes goes up. It actually extends only to halfway. And it doesn't need to, since we are slowing down, it doesn't need to go to the nose down as much as they did. It can just go down more easily. The aircraft is predicting, oh, we actually are back into our track. So we can pull back. You see that we catched the green ball. Come on. With the mouse it's not great. Hold to lock. Okay, there you go. Sorry. Now we're even under the green ball, so the autopilot is... I don't have the speed brake on. Why do you say we have the speed brake on? It's 0%. It's asking us to use it for some reason, but we don't. We need to. For the moment. So we're just letting it be. See, now it like... I wonder if it needs it to keep it up, but I don't think it does. For now, let's let it do its thing without speed brake. The speed brake is down, it's flush with the wings. So far it seems fine. We are even under our... This is the range speed we should go to stay into on the green dot, and we are fine. And as you can see now, the top of basically the bottom of the descent when we reach our 2000 is exactly where it should be. Yeah, so I don't know why it's calling for speed brake, but I'm not giving it speed brake because it's not needed. Maybe the pilot among you, if anyone can see the real pilots among you, can tell me why it's asking for speed brake right now. It shouldn't be, in my opinion. It's already at the lowest speed it needs to go. Going a little ahead. Maybe that's why. Well, let's try to give it a little bit of speed brake. See what it says. Put 50% speed brake. Oh, now I understand how it does, how it works. See, it just ends up with me having to use more fuel because it's spooling up the engine. So yeah, I don't think we need the speed brake. Zero speed brake again. Let it go. We are already under. See, this constraint means that we are already under 26,000 feet, so we're fine. Because minus FL 2600 260 would means that we need to be under flight level under 26,000 feet here. We are, and here at RTIP we need to be under 10,000 feet. And also there is a 250 knot speed limit, which means that we need to be under 250 knot when we are there. But not now. It will activate there. Like when we reach this dot here, it will decelerate 250 knot by itself. Speed brake indication disappeared. So I was right. We are fine. I am totally claiming that I was right and the system was wrong. That's why you have a pilot in the cockpit. That's why a computer doesn't do it on its own. Now we're turning a little bit. Go to the next waypoint. Oh, by the way, while we descend, we should have the sunshades up. So let's pull this up. So far, this was a pretty uneventful flight. Uneventful is good for airliners. Lower the range of the autopilot. And as you can see, it's following really nicely towards my destination altitude that I set, which is flight level 2000. In the meanwhile, I can start briefing my approach. The missed approach will have me climb 2000. So after the missed approach is still 2000, so I need to leave 2000 into this window here when the approach phase is inserted. Sorry, when the glide slope is captured. Normally, if your missed approach altitude, which activates after you missed your approach and you decided to go around is higher than that, you will need to set it to that higher thing as soon as your glide slope is captured. So the autopilot is ready if you give full power to bring you to that altitude. We are almost at 2 tons of fuel. I wonder if it's going to give me a Nika message when we go under the minimum, which is 2,000. Let's see, but we have plenty to get. Right now, we are on idle. We are almost idle. We're very low thrust, so we are using almost no fuel. We're starting to see the ground, the terrain around us. I think we're still over Germany, though. So you see, we need to be at 10,000 feet, under 10,000 feet at RTIP, and we are absolutely going to be at under 10,000 feet at RTIP, no problem at all. That's called a constraint. Sometimes when there is no minus, it means that you need to be at that altitude exactly at that waypoint. If there is a plus, of course, it means that you need to be above that altitude. And also, when we reach that purple dot right there, it should slow us down to 250 knots. We're at 260 now, so we're not too close. We're not far. That's at -2, -15. We may need anti-ice when we pass the clouds. Oh, by the way, we're under 15,000 feet, so seatbelts go on. And after 10,000 feet, we'll have a few more things to do. Yep, there you go. See, throttle went idle, and our speed went under 250 as expected. And by the way, we did not get an ECA message. Now it's slowing down, so the descent slowed down because it's waiting to get at a lower speed. And now that it reached that lower speed, it again started descending a good clip, so that will make the restriction under 10,000 at RTIP. So we can lower this again, get a better view. Okay, so we need to turn on the landing lights. We are 10,000 feet. Nose light goes into takeoff as well. Yeah, even for landing. And it made restriction pretty perfectly. 10,000 feet right now, and we're almost at RTIP. And we need to turn on the ILS. location. .1, it is the correct ILS frequency for our runway. In altimeter, we're now going down under the 5,000. So we set it local. The local altimeter is 10.5. Let's make sure it's still there. 5, yes. Lock. Set manual. And on 10.5. We are giving the autopilot mixed signals a little bit. There you go. So now the aircraft is going to say, oh, we are a little bit above. And by the way, VPB, you see that now it has detected the radio signal of the ILS, which the code is correctly VPB, which means that we are ready. For our ILS approach. Let's take a look outside. Welcome to the Netherlands. This point here that you see here is where we'll enter the approach mode. And here you can see the ILS glide slope is already captured. Well, it's captured. It's not captured. It's already detected. We'll capture when we get here. And it's also detecting the localizer, which is the horizontal thing, the horizontal beam that we need to follow. Let's see if it gives us an icing warning. It's probably not. No, there is no not the moisture is not at the right temperature to form icing. And we are go to Netherlands. Right now I need to focus. By the way, if I screw up the landing, it may be because I'm using the terrible flight stick that does not have rudder pedals. So I actually, and the stick twist is twisted. It's wrong. So I actually have to use two buttons on the throttle to work my rudder pedal and my nose wheel, and that may seriously makes the landing seriously harder. I'm used to use rudder pedal, and not having them is a big issue. So you see that the next waypoint I need to be above 2000, Pivos, and then exactly 2000 and the one before. And my predictive arrow tells me that I will be at 2000 exactly at Pivos, which means we did it perfectly. The radar altimeter just told me we are 2500. Well, this is good. So far, so good. Okay, and now it starts to tell me what it wants. And we are 2000. And we are entering the approach phase, so when we reach that little green dot, we'll put flaps 1. We can start arming the spoilers. How to brake at medium. And we're turning towards that. And we can start giving 1 degree on flaps. And now that we are there, approach phase on. Localizer is already captured. 2 autopilots inserted. And now you see that the diamond of the glide slope is slowly descending towards our altitude. When we'll get there, and it shows here that it's aiming to capture the, if it's in blue, it's waiting to capture the glide slope. And now it's lowering, and it's capturing the glide slope. So now we can lower the landing gear. Set flaps 2. Landing gears down. And set full flaps. Here's the runway in front of us. We have 2 white, 2 reds, which means, as you probably noticed in our first flight, it means that we are in perfect glide slope, and we can tell the cabin that we are landing.
1000.
We're 1000. There's another airliner behind us. You can see in the thing. Okay. Alrighty. Time to get ready. Autopilot off. We get ready to land on our own. There is some not insignificant crosswind trying to pull us off the center line. We just need to correct. Continue.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. Retard.
If you're wondering, that's not calling us names, but it's just instructing us to pull the thrust lever to idle. Decent landing, quite soft. We floated it a little bit, but we were still in the landing zone. We had the center line, and unfortunately this stick is very soft, so it's challenging to flare accurately. And there is an aircraft right there. It shouldn't be there. So we're going to vacate really quickly. Oh, it's vacating. It's fine. Well, it's not fine. There shouldn't be two aircraft on the same at the same time on the same runway, but we'll pretend it's fine. Welcome to Amsterdam Schiphol. Brake a little bit. Now that we vacated the runway, we can disarm the spoilers, pull up the flaps, and turn on the APU. I would say, let's bring up this charts, airport chart. Airport. The operational information. I suppose we can follow the aircraft. But yeah, where is Schiphol? And everything went perfectly fine. Turn off these two taxi light. Turn on the runway turn off light. If you hear bit 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 tack tack tack, it's me tapping that crappy thing that I need to use to make the say to move the pedals, because it's not great. Just gonna follow that aircraft to the destination. Brake a little bit and park near to it. It's a company aircraft, so it's not a KLM aircraft, so it's supposed to go park where we need to park. Turn off the weather radar. It's not needed anymore. APU is available. Brake a little bit. I don't need the landing lights anymore either. Oop. I went a little bit off the road. See, this is a two-man job. Oops. And normally, like if you have a rudder pedal, and you know the curve is coming, you just can keep the pedals in position. Here, I need to keep tapping this thing, and it's really awkward. Really awkward. Ooh, there is a bit of a see, some airports, some default airports in Microsoft Flight Simulator are a bit bad in this because they have these stairs. Do you see these little steps here? There should not be there ever. If you go through them too fast, it will damage your landing gear. Ouch! Ouchie, ouchie, ouchie. Okay, we didn't break it. But you know what I mean, right? Strobe lights need to go off too. Oh, we have a Boeing 737 MAX behind us. I am literally just following that guy, because of course he's gonna bring me to the right place. And if it isn't, it's his fault. But yeah, we can definitely say that the PS5 can, and indeed does, deliver the full airliner experience with no problem, which is, I will say, extremely impressive. I am incredibly impressed. Yeah, we're crossing a runway, so theoretically we should give a good look to the left and right. No one's landing, but if the guy that there is crossing, of course, there is no one going in. I am extremely impressed because the airliner experience is very heavy on the CPU and the RAM of the console. The Xbox had problems, and especially at launch. And I mean, even less powerful PCs have problems with the airliners. So yeah, hats off at whoever made the PS5 version work, whoever did the port, because it works greatly. Actually, the one thing is I'm hearing great things from people that are in the beta of a Sim Update 4 on PC and on Xbox, and the PS5 version is already updated to Sim Update 4. So this gives me really, really great hopes for Sim Update 4 on PC. Because if it's this stable and this well optimized, my PC is going to sing. December is going to be a really good month for Flight Simulator fans, for Microsoft Flight Simulator fans, because we are getting Sim Update 4. Of course, PS5 users are getting the PS5 version, but we're also getting the 737NG, the 800 version, and probably the 700 version, I think, or 900, depending on which one they will do earlier. I don't think they will do the 600 first. Sorry, second after the 800. But we'll get at least the 800 and one or two other versions of the 737 by PMDG, and I am so eager to fly the 737 again on my PC, because I missed it, because of course it was relegated to the MSFS 2020, the one by PMDG, and the Max that is included in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is a Max. I'm not too interested in flying a Max as much as the NG version, which is the version that my favorite airlines like Japan Airlines and ANA and all the Japanese airlines, because you know I'm a bit of a flight simulator weeb, so I love to fly in Japan. And they all fly the 737 NG, the 800, not the Max. Also, I love to fly Skymark with the Pikachu, with the Pokemon livers, because hey, I'm a gamer. What were you expecting? So yeah, I'm really looking forward to fly the PMDG 737s again. See, these guys, if you are lucky to have a company aircraft in front of you, you can just follow them. Well, normally ATC, they would give you exactly what route you need to follow in on the chart you have there. See that each taxiway is marked with a letter and a number of times. So for instance, they would tell us go by V2, V, Z, B, and whatever, and you need to write it all down really quickly when they tell you, because otherwise no way you're gonna remember it. And this is Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. No way you're gonna remember on your own. There is absolutely no way. So you need to sign it all, and then follow it exactly all the way to your destination. Good luck with that, right? See, there are other KLM flights here, so it means you probably have to park around here. The guy is probably starting to turn in, and we're gonna turn in behind him and take the next jetway in front of him. Why not? This was a really long video, sorry about that, guys, but it was to give you the full 100% airliner experience and to see if the PS4 can handle it, and it can. PS5, sorry, PS5. I'm behind. Is there an available jetway here that we can use? I think there is. So instead of following that guy all the way, oh no, there isn't. We're gonna follow him further, because all the jetways are occupied. These. Normally you wouldn't go to the jetway you want. ATC would also tell you exactly what gate you're going to go to. Look at the airport. Oh, accelerating a little bit too much. Brake. Yeah, when I am in that external camera, I don't have control of the plane. So it will keep doing what it's doing. You have an in external camera, that is centered on your plane and you still have control. And on the PS5 you access that camera with the touchpad. And then there is the cooler camera, in which you have control of it with the control of the camera with the sticks, and in that one you do not have control at all on the plane. So you either need to be on autopilot or hope that it's gonna that the last control you gave it is good. Don't get too close to the other guy. Are there going to be any parking here? Yes. Guy just left. So hopefully I can see two of them, they're empty. Let's hope the simulator doesn't fill them while we're coming. If we were listening to it, you see, we would have one reserved to us. But we don't, so we don't know where the one reserved to us is. So we just open lock. Come on, give me a parking area. Did it actually already fill it? It didn't. Is there one here? Is 049 empty? Yes it is. Yes it is. We have one. We has jetway. We're going to totally overrun that guy there. Yeah, I'm doing it in a very haphazard way, by the way, if you're wondering. Don't do this when you're not supposed to, but it's fine. Okay, you're there. Parking brake on. I'm holding the brake with a finger, and okay, parking brake on. We're here. Now we can start our procedure. We can turn off the lights. Nose lights goes to 0. Runway turn off got 0 as well. We already have our APU on. APU bleed goes on. Engine master switch 1 and 2 go off. And our engines will turn off. By the way, if you see like it's not the framer that's doing those like jumps in the camera, it's the mouse that's doing it, because the mouse is not super optimized. If I do it with the controller, it's much smoother, as you see. And the engines are off. Since the engines are off, we can turn off the seatbelt so that our passengers are free to go and call the jetway for them. Ba-bam. Thank you for the jetway, sir. That was very kind of you, sir. Put down my stick because it's heavy on my lap. And I need to move my legs a little bit. And welcome to Amsterdam Schiphol, ladies and gentlemen. Now we can turn the beacon off, since the engine is off. Put the transponder in standby. I should have put the tickets in standby as well before. It's fine. Transponder in standby. Let's call it GPU. And connect the external power. Now APU bleed can go off, and the APU master switch also off. Oxygen crew supply off. Headers go to off. Exterior lights all off. By the way, a real pilot in this situation, especially early in the morning, wouldn't turn the aircraft completely into cold and dark after finishing this flight, because they would likely do a turnaround and fly somewhere else. I just go into cold and dark to show you the full airliner experience from start, from cold and dark to cold and dark. Everything's done, and our passengers assumed that they were really in a hurry, so they disembarked really quickly, and now we can turn off the signs. Then we can disconnect the batteries. And finally disconnect the external power so we can go completely cold and dark. And we are done. I can finally go to bed. Thank you very much for flying with us from Stockholm to Amsterdam on the PS5 version of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, which proved itself to be quite solid and able to deliver the full airliner experience without trouble, which is honestly impressive. As usual, if you enjoyed our video, please like it and subscribe. Perhaps leave a comment with your feedback, which is always appreciated. Stay tuned on this channel for more videos really soon, and keep an eye on the Simulation Daily website, as we have flight simulation news every day. If you're new to this awesome hobby, we're proud to say that it's a good place to learn more about it. Of course, you'll also find general gaming news and coverage, since ultimately almost all games simulate something. Thanks again for your time and attention, and I hope to see you again in the next video.